the Fill the Funnel podcast with Jeff Swan
and Tom Slocum.
We're here to help you crush your targets
with tactical tips and insights you can act on today.
Don't have a fancy tech stack, a big budget, or even a huge team to lean on?
Well, it's time to get that solved today with FTF Fridays.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fill the Funnel Fridays with your hosts Jeff Swan and Tom Slocum.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about the whole debate around organic outreach versus scale. So you hear a lot of proponents on either side. There's some people that are saying that you need to take time and personalize every email and really get to know your prospect before reaching out. And then there's other people that swear by automate everything, scale it all, figure out, give the quality to the people that put their hand up. But I think there's, I don't know about you, Tom, but I think there's something to be said about balance here, is that you can kind of take both approaches. What do you think?
I've done both. Little be told, I was a spray and prayer, and I built a lot of success off of it. I would automate my sequences. I didn't really add much customization, but I delivered value at scale. And then I made the transfer to personalization, slowing down, really catering to the right people. But I blended those worlds, right? I didn't stop one or the other. I didn't go all in on one. But I did, automate to the lower end stuff, like the managers, the influencers, the champions. And then for the decision makers that I knew were my target person, right? Like my buyer, everything aligned, I tried to personalize, right? Generally reach out with a genuine interest to connect with them because I knew they could make a buying decision. But the people that couldn't make a buying decision, I didn't spend that much time with. I didn't really drive down with them and try to be all personal and go look at them and do all these things because at the end of the day, they're not going to be the buyer. So I can personalize all day and they could love what I have to say, but what are they going to do really except kind of play telephone and maybe pass me along to somebody else? And when I started getting into personalization, for me, I had 3,000 accounts, 3,500 accounts in my progressions, most of my reps. So you can't scale all of that. So you just got to play with it and find a balance. There is a time for personalization. And then unfortunately, there is a time to scale and get your outreach out there. And you're not going to win everybody. I've automated to decision makers and they've loved it. I've personalized to decision makers and they've loved it, right? Too many get caught up on that when in reality, it's the value and the relationship that you build with somebody that is going to make that sale. It's the right timing, the right person, and the right message to connect those dots. So I think there is definitely a way to balance the two.
I like that because, we have our own opinions and data, but I hear from a lot of different people where some people do exactly what you said, is that really sell on value. And they found that through numerous tests and all this other stuff, that the lift that they get from organic outreach is not significant enough to actually change what they do. But when I press these types of people, they always have really good messaging. So, like you say, they deliver value so that their prospect is actually sitting there going, this is a good email. Like I'm getting something good for my prospect, or that was a great cold call that I got value out of. So I think that's really the key there is really about value. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all it comes down to is, Will Allred has talked about this, Christina, yourself, the emailing gurus, some of the cold calling people, right? That honestly stop worrying about the personalization and getting so wrapped up in that part. Yeah. We need to be helping sales development reps and top of funnel people convey and communicate better. It has nothing to do with you telling me that you listen to our podcast and I love this, and then just hit me anyway with the same pitch you were going to do anyway. Yeah, the blurb of the personalization, right? You're starting to turn it into going through emotions approach. You're assuming that you have to do it because everyone else is doing it. But what you need to really dive into if you're a top of funnel person is the structure of your messaging, the value that you're bringing, and what you're really trying to convey. I don't give a crap if you listen to my podcast or whatever you did or did all your research, if at the end of the day your message actually makes sense and gives value to what I'm doing. I have people hit my inbox now that we've launched our company, Outbound SOS, that, oh, I see you're doing Outbound SOS. It's so great. and then there are messages about bookkeeping or taxes or all this
or
stuff.
outsourced app development, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm like, what the hell? Like, okay, you added personalization, but you still missed the whole. Yeah, I read your email, but then all of a sudden you hit me with this blindsided pitch that didn't even make sense.
yeah.
So forget the personalization if you're not going to deliver the value anyway. So find the balance. I just hate that everybody takes these trends and consumes themselves in them and assumes that's the way to do it. Because honestly, and I'm going to say it, I know some SDRs that said, screw that system, and are automating like a machine, and they're outbooking people that are doing personalization. Yep. Pipeline's still getting closed. Meetings are still happening. So I think it has to be what you feel, right? What do you want to do? How do you like to be pitched to? How do you want to talk to somebody? And if it's not personalization, it's okay. Not everybody's going to like it, but it's going to work and it's not going to work. What people don't understand is there's no damn magic bullet in sales. The magic bullet, to be honest, is finding your identity, using your language, using your formatting. If you're a big, long-winded writer in email, stay there. I know you could do it better and I know you could clean it up, but that's not you, right? So it's going to look weird and you're going to cut out things. Me and Jeff have done this. Jeff has tried to write sequences for me for some of the things we're doing, and I'm just like, I can't do it.
It's just a different style.
Right. No. He'll run it, and what? You book 10 meetings in a week, I run it, and I get one. And it has nothing to do with the value of the messaging. It's just people kind of get this personality out of it, and it just looks weird. Yeah. So I think, in your mind, think about how to convey your message and build organically your message and your value without heavily having to deal with, oh my God, every touch I need to bring in something. I need to be looking at their LinkedIn and mention something. No, you don't. No. You need to hit them at the right time. Do your research, and if they're really a person you should be reaching out to, then do it. However that looks for you. But if it's not, then don't reach out to them, right? It's that simple.
Yeah, well, and so that's a really good point, Tom, and thank you for saying that, is that the hands down, it's so important to have your own identity. You cannot take someone else's playbook and put it in your own and just do it. You can't just take someone else's playbook and run it. You have to build your own. You have to run your own plays. You have to do your own messaging, because that is how you're going to be successful. You might have used my sequence and booked 10 meetings 2 in a week, okay? And then the next week had nothing.
Yep.
Right? So you could have got the same results I got from the same thing and got the same results. And then the next week you don't. And then what are you going to do? Come back to me again? How is that going to be helpful for you? Right?
Well, it's not. And you look at anywhere you do sales, right? You go to a car lot, you go buy furniture. What if every single person was just a robot in that building? Okay. You walk in, you're going to go buy a car, and every rep that was on the parking lot was just an organic robot that had the same script, same convo. What would you do? And what do? How do you make a decision, right? It's just the same. It doesn't matter if me and you both walked under that lot at the same time. We're both going to get an experience, where what you see today is different experiences, different people. Like you could walk on a car lot and get a completely different experience with somebody than what I would, and it's not cookie cutter. So why do they do it that way? But yet we go into SaaS or we go into outbound cold calling or messaging, and everybody thinks we all need to be doing the same thing. No, we don't. Then there's no sales. There's no world of revenue. There's nobody buying anything, because screw it. Just replace everybody with robots and one generic approach. And
automate it all.
And automate it all. Happen. Right. Just automate it all. No. Yeah. No. What Jeff and I have really tried to do, and what I oppose all of you SDRs to do and AEs, is there are guides, there are things to explore, but tweak them. Don't take them exactly as they are. Slice and dice them, guide them. That's all I did. I'm not going to lie. I'll raise my hand. I used HubSpot, Google articles for I don't even know how long, probably my first 2 years SDRing. I loved them, but I didn't take them exactly as is, put them in my email and send it. Yeah. I tweaked it. I took my Tom sauce on top of it, and I said, wow, this is really pretty good. Let me tweak it to what I'm doing and kind of change some things or see how the framework is, and then design my own out of that. That's the same thing you want to do, right? And it's okay to be organic and automate. I think the first 2 touches realistically should always be organic. And you want to tier out your stuff, right? I'm not talking every single outreach. I have 3,000 accounts. I couldn't do that across the board. But you need to align on what's important to you and your company. Who are those target buyers? Who are the people that really should be entering your funnel? And when it comes to those, take some time, right? Research, build a nice value story to them, and take your time in those first 2 touches. But then about touch 3, 4, 5, use some value added templates, right? Scale it out a little bit and be like, all right, they've at least got to know what I was reaching out to very personally first. Now I'm just going to add my 3 through 8 touches to kind of be a little bit, added value on top of that.
Scale, right? And you don't necessarily even have to have this completely organic first touch or first 2 touches, right? Like you can personalize certain aspects of it. But to your story earlier, you don't want to start with something like, hey, Tom, you're the founder of Outbound SOS, so check out my bookkeeping service. That ain't right. That doesn't do anything, right? You have to have a tie. So if you're going to bring up something like, Tom, you talked about kick-ass cold openers. And, I have a service that helps you write the best one-liners. That would really sound really awesome.
Relevant, right?
Right?
It's so weird. I'm seeing it across the board. And these are weird companies, like not in our industry of SaaS as much, but some of these other companies out there. But it is weird how so many have taken personalization the wrong way. They don't get it. They think just adding it is all they have to do. And that's not what it is. And I love that you and Christina and Will have, and a lot of other emailers have been pushing this, is that only bring in the right personalization that can add to the story. I still bring the story up all the time, and I know he probably heard it enough and he's annoyed with it, but Scott Lee shared the story that one time and it resonated with me on what personalization really meant. This person prospected him, knew he does surf and sales, right? But the whole message and email that he wrote was tying surfing into the world of revenue for Scott. And I thought that was phenomenal. And it was a beautiful written story. It was a little bit long-winded, but it got Scott's attention and it all resonated throughout the whole thing. So if you're going to bring up surfing, bring it up because it makes sense to. Don't bring it up because you're just wanting to bring it up and check a box on your email, right? Exactly. Don't bring up my podcast just because it checks a box. Bring up my podcast because it makes sense in your messaging. Or bring up our content because it makes sense in your messaging. If it doesn't make sense, find another avenue. You don't have to do that personalization. You can balance it. But if there's a real moment where, holy shit, Jeff just dropped this amazing podcast episode that actually fits and talks about my product, I have a way to reach out. I posted about video prospecting like last week or the week before, and I got to commend BombBomb. BombBomb social sold like a champion and blew up my post and like swarmed it, right? I had the VP, the CEO, the founder, like all the reps, and then the message that came on the back end was all personalized to me and about my post and tying it all together and understanding like that made sense, right? That moment connected. But if BombBomb just reached out to me, it was like, blah, 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 and then hit me, I'd be like, what the hell? Yeah. So, there's a balance to all this. And I believe that organic is still the way to go. I think that right now with the way that automation is going, yes, SDRs and AEs and everybody in sales needs to figure out how to convey their value with the right messaging and hone in on those skills. Stop looking for these one solution ways of doing things and these little trends that you think as soon as you do them, you're just going to have to find success. You're just going to find success, right? It doesn't work like that. Yeah. We need to be teaching the root of the skills. No more cookie cutter, no more all this stuff, bullets. We need to be empowering people to create their own trends for just them. Who cares if it catches with anybody else? Let's start empowering people to create their own individual trends that just work for them.
Well, Tom, I would argue it's better to do that because I want you to be different than me. When we both reach out to the same VP of sales, I want them to feel like it's different, that it's not a cookie cutter, that it's not like some template we created and just go, right? Yeah. Like I want my personality to show through. I want your personality to show through and how you bring value and how I bring value. And we're the same company. Right? And we teach people how to run plays, right? But the reason why we don't give a lot of templates out is because of that exact reason, is that you want your personality to go through. And this is why we named this episode Organic versus Scaled Outreach, right? Not personalized versus scaled outreach, because organic is organically who you are, your personality, your value, and what you bring to the table to one of your prospects. right? And that's organic. And then the outreach that you do is mostly manual as opposed to automated. So it's organic. And we feel, honestly, like I feel it's freaking strong. Like it works so much better when I'm sitting there, I message 10 or 15 people on LinkedIn and I just say, hey, Tom, I saw what you did over there. Really liked it. And here's what my thoughts on it. Do you want to chat about this more? Boom. That's something that actually gets me a lot of help, a lot of conversations, right? Yeah. I've said that same thing to other people. They've used it and it works for half, doesn't work for others.
Well, that's the thing. You're never going to find something that works 100% for every single person, man. I mean, that's the world we live in. There's personality for a reason. Otherwise, we'd all be very generic, right? And all be the same. And that's just how we move forward. There's a reason that we're personal. That's the reason why we are our own identities. And people need to embrace that and not run from it. I know a lot of people that I hired as SDRs that were the shyest people ever. They weren't extroverts, but they killed it on the phone in their own way. They were very in their own way. And I never changed that. I didn't tell them they should be more dominant or hey, I'm not touching it. You're working, do your thing. And it's all about you. And maybe you take 30-minute phone calls with one prospect versus another rep who takes 5 in that 30 minutes. But you know what? You're making the numbers. You're doing your job and you're doing you. Why would I say, you know what? You're taking 30-minute calls. Let's move that down. Nah, man. Now, if you're not hitting all of your stuff and your goals and it's getting a little long-winded, sure. But if you're hitting your goals, doing your thing, and you only took 5 phone calls in the whole day and they lasted 3 hours, good for you. And you converted 2, I'm happy about that because that's you. Yeah. I had people be humor on the phone. I had reps that would laugh, make jokes, be crazy. I had some that were the sleazy ass car salesman, slick hair back.
The slimy sales rep? Remember?
I worked with a few of those, and you know what? They killed it. That was their style. That's them. Yeah. You can't change that. So in your organic research and when you're looking at this balance, find what works for you. There is not a one-size-fit-all magic bullet here. But I highly suggest being organic. Don't try to go cheat on the internet. Use them as guides. Go find what works for you. When you're in these communities and you're in all these resources, you have to be prepared to have a filter on and just slow down and process what you're getting at. You go to all these AMAs. Everybody right now is all about the SDR world. Let's support them. We've got all these communities, but nobody is training anybody and putting them through a workshop in unlocking their skills, unlocking who they are. And that's what we need more of, right? Is let's go into a program that gives you nothing except challenges and experiments to find who you are. So at the end of it, you can find your own messaging and your own place in the sales world. And I'll stop there.
Hey, that was golden, my friend. So just to wrap up, effectively, when you're looking at the organic versus scale conversation, you have to do both. You have to find ways to do both organic outreach and scaled outreach. You can do that by prioritizing your list, tiering it up, and doing only organic to the top, and then scaling the rest. Or you can do it where your first couple touches are organic and the rest is scaled. Either way, find your own lane and figure it out. It's all on you. So happy hunting, folks. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Fill the Funnel podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite platform, give us reviews, and tell all your friends about us. Till next time, happy hunting.